Have you guys ever been out in public and you see an older person in company of someone who is clearly their carer because they are wearing like scrubs? And you ever notice how sometimes the older person may be trying to, say, pay for their groceries, and sometimes they have like shaky hands. I'm not really sure what the medical cost for that is, but anyways, they have shaky hands and they're trying to dig into their wallet, slowly and grab their card and try to swipe it at the terminal. And then the person who's with them kind of gets impatient about it. Like, I've heard some folks use like a really tough tone, like, or sometimes, sorry, this is more when they pay with cash, like they may be pulling out the wrong bill or something, and then the other person gets impatient and sticks their hand into their money and, like, no, you need a 5, not a 20, or this and that. And I'm like, just be polite about it, be patient with them because they're trying. And when it comes to swiping the card, sometimes the act of swiping a card is difficult, or sometimes they don't realize that the terminal that they're using needs for you to use the chip, or sometimes they don't recognize that the chip is, the chip and not that strip in the back of the card that kind of glows. I forget what that is, but it normally has like an eagle on it. And sometimes I've seen the carers yank the card out of their hands and then impatiently insert it or swipe it themselves. And I'm like, if it were me, I would ask the person, the older person, if they would like help. And if they say yes, then I would guide their hand to conduct the action that is needed. But it really tears me up every time when I see these folks who are supposed to be professionals and their service really frustrates the patient. I wouldn't like to be treated like that because, hello, at some point in my life, I was young, I was in my prime, I had full control of my senses, but I'm aging. So, I don't know, guys. I guess that's really when where my emotional part kicks in. But I cannot imagine being impatient like that to an older person. The only thing that I'm guilty of that I have to confess is sometimes my mom asks me too many technology questions. And I may get a little impatient about it, like, Mom, I learned this by myself. How about if you explore? Like, she has an iPhone as well, so she had never used any kind of phone that had features beyond a flip phone and, the buttons and everything. So then I told myself, wait a second. I had the advantage of having owned an iPod Touch. So it's very easy to transition from that to the iPhone. But my mom had absolutely zero smartphone experience. So I remember how I felt when I was figuring out some gadgets with touchscreen. So I said to myself, I just need to be patient, extra patient with her because it also doesn't help her that she is from a different time where I have been exposed to technology in some form of another since I was little. Like, I've been messing with computers since elementary school. She didn't start messing with computers until her 30s, maybe. So what's obvious to me is not going to be obvious to her. So I learned that. And what I like to do nowadays is if I feel like I'm going to be impatient toward her, I tell her, Mom, right now is not a good time. I know that you have your questions, so I will show you real quick how it's done. But the rest of your question, I'll have to address it when I'm not in a hurry. Because sometimes she asks me when I'm ready to go to work and I have just enough time to make it. So I don't want her to feel like I'm just walking out on her and not wanting to help her. But I also don't want to be tardy. So it takes a while to not think impatiently about that type of thing, something that you're good at, and then you just want to assume that everyone else will be as good as you or better. But, in a situation like that, I just recognize that my mom looks up to me for advice, and I should feel really honored as opposed to annoyed. Because I know that when she first got the phone, it was like I was living by her side the whole time. Like, how do you do this? How do you do that? What is this? What is that? And it got annoying. But then I told myself, this is something that I just have to do once. Like, I'll show her, and then she'll get it. And then until something extreme happens, she won't need my advice again. You know. So but my initial response is to react impatiently. But then, when it comes to being a carer for older folks, no matter what, I can tell this about myself. I'm not going to be impatient to an older person, especially if they have a physical challenge, because I understand that they're, that's what comes with aging, and they can't control that. They're not trying to be slow. They're not trying to be shaky. They're not trying to make a mess. It's just life for them now. So we need to help them embrace that and not make them feel like they're a nuisance because they don't have control of their movements anymore, you know? Um, so I guess what makes me say that also is that if I'm in the profession, it's because I studied for that, and I got hired because I know that I can do the job, and I can deliver that good service. So, as a person of integrity, if I'm going to be doing that job and I'm going to have a crappy attitude about everything, I wouldn't do it because that speaks really terrible of me. And the whole point of me caring for someone is to be polite about it and be helpful. That's what I do. So why am I being annoyed that this person is making a mess or having trouble paying when that's what I'm there for, to assist them, you know? Anyways, guys, that concludes my rambling. I know it's kind of random, but I had seen that happen so many times, like people who seem fed up with their jobs and then the consequences of it. But when it comes to taking care of another human being, I don't think that's acceptable ever or tolerable ever. So we need to be careful about what we choose to do as a job because um, some stuff is serious. And I think this is an important job. So if you're not up for the mental aspect of it, then please don't do it. Give yourself time to maybe train yourself further or reevaluate how you'll handle situations like that. But it's just a terrible situation to be putting another person in. Anyways, what do you guys think? Do you agree with me or do you disagree with me? What have you seen that made you feel down about a professional who was treating someone poorly and stuff? And yeah, just let me know your thoughts. All right, guys, thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you soon.